Hello, this is Haiku, back for some more historic Pauper deck techs. Now this is the big one. This is Rakdos. Like I said before, I think Rakdos is by far the strongest color combination in historic Pauper, and so going through these decks hopefully will show you kind of why. So there's first two flavors of Madness. They're basically the same thing, so I'm just going to go into the burn version. Um, so basically, Bump in the Nights, Skewer the Critics, Fiery Temper, and Alms of the Vein are all 1 damage, deal 3. And then basically you pad it out with Faithless Lootings, Voldaren Epicure for the blood token, Vampire's Cliff also for the blood tokens, and then you also play the two mana, deal 4. And then you pad it out with a little bit of random burn. This one is plus or minus. I could see playing 2 more Skewer the Critics and getting rid of this last one, or getting rid of a couple of these. These are nice because they can discard to looting without costing mana the turn you loot, and then later on you can have an attack for a 5-ball. That cantrips yourself, but sometimes the opponent keeps back a blocker because it's hard to hide what you're going to do. That would be kind of my recommendation is, consider this and make sure that you want to be playing with that. All right, the non madness version, I'll just post the deck list. Basically, you play the fetch lands, so then you can play with Blast Runner. That's the biggest change. And then basically you have a little bit less skewers, and a little bit less clubs to finish off the game, but then otherwise virtually the same. Okay, this is another fun deck that's arena only, because it uses the perpetual effect. So perpetual death touch to Forge Devil or to Blisterstick Shaman means that they enter the battlefield and they kill any target creature. So pretty awesome effect. So how do you pad that out? So first of all, you play Faceless Agent to find. So the first Faceless Agent will either find Familiar or Forge Devil, and then eventually it will find your other cards. I'm padding it out with Madness cards. No big draw or no big reason to. I just think it's just reasonable. Vampire's Kiss and Voldaren Epicure, since Voldaren Epicure does not mess with the creature typing of your other cards. And then you're still playing with Gargantua and Kitchen Imp to put down a clock on the opponent. Ragged Recluse is another nice one, just for a consistent clock, and it doesn't overlap on any of the creature types of your combo, so then you can play them and just basically have a 3/3 beater. That's pretty much it. This deck, you do need to play Tithing Blade, but you can find it pretty easily with the 4 Faithless Lootings and all the other blood tokens to filter through your deck. The reason why you have to play with this is if you're going to run into a fog deck, you need something to get around fog. So this deck is a little bit cold to those kind of decks, so this definitely helps out. All right, moving on. So the other way to build Rakdos is to build with Tentative Connection. So you're playing menace creatures. So Okiba Reconnator having menace is actually pretty cool. You also can play Ingredient, which is a reasonable menace creature to play with. And then Blast Runner obviously is great. So the deck is trying to make sure Blast Runner turns on, so that's why you're playing the full 4 and 4, but then you also are playing with Tomb Raider as far as pressure, and so that's why you're playing with artifact lands, and then the other artifacts between Combustion, Synthesizer, Epicure, Tithing Blade, and Barbed Batter Fist. Deadly Dispute and Improvised Club are also kind of reasonable to sack and do fun things with. So that's Steal and Sack. Basically, you steal their creature and then you throw it at their face, or you draw more cards with it. And then before I go on to the kind of the combo and then the meme deck, when I just go, the tried and true Rakdos aggro is basically this. You play Synth with Club, and then you also supplement it with Implement of Combustion. Just play all of the 1-drops. You could even play a couple other 1-drops like Ginger Brute to pad this out. And then there's always the other card, well, I'll actually get to that in another deck. The other 1-drop that is a 2-power creature. Yep. So just very low to the ground, fast. Has 12 burn spells, so it can really deal quick damage. So you just get a little bit of a buff by dipping into black. Other than you get to play with artifact land and also the fetches to make these cards better. And then so you get a slight upgrade on your cards from mono red. Okay, here's another combo deck. Probably should have warned at the beginning of the video that there's a combo deck that I'll explain. But basically, you have Putrid Goblin, Skirt Prospector, and First Day of Class. And basically, once you have these out, you can sack the Putrid Goblin. Comes in with a -1/-1 counter and a +1/+1 counter from First Day of Class, and they cancel out. And then you can continue to sack it for infinite red mana. So to assemble the combo, you use a little bit of Faceless Agent along with the combo of Faithless Looting it and then Unearthing. You can Faithless Looting your combo into the graveyard, or you can Faithless Looting Agent into the graveyard and then unearth it to find the other piece of your combo. The other important part of this deck, and just kind of makes it go, is Reckless Impulse and Ren's Resolve. They help you find the First Day of Class, since you can find the creature portion of your combo fairly easily, but then the looting and the resolves help you get into your combo. Duress, make sure the coast is clear. These are just a couple of random removal spells, and then the actual finisher is, so basically you just have to have Merchant of the Veil, and then you can infinitely go through your deck and find Witty Roastmaster, and every time you come in, then you will be dealing damage to the opponent. Yep. Pretty self-explanatory. You could build this in a couple other ways. And one nice part about this deck is First Day of Class gets you the sideboard access with the lesson plan. The other way to build this deck is with some what do you call it? With the combo of Ichor Wellspring and Deadly Dispute, or you can kind of supplement this draw package. The nice part about that is that Deadly Dispute kind of fixes its own mana, so as long as you have 1 black mana, you're good. It's a reasonable complement to this cards. I felt like this was just fine, but you can get in some awkward situations where you get a First Day of Class before you're intending to cast it. But most of the time, this is just easier to set up than the Deadly Dispute. Yep. Then for the meme deck, another party deck. Again, I think the recent printing of Skull Hunter made Malakir Blood Priest really viable. And then also it's just, aggro is going to be huge in best of 1. And so having a way to gain, 3 life and drain the opponent for 3 life is actually pretty cool. This deck does have a little bit of a sub theme of a little bit of burn with Pyromancer and Blood Priest in the same deck. But basically you're using Changeling Outcast to knock in for some damage. You get to play with Foundry Street Denizen, which counts as a warrior, but also gets pumped by your other creatures coming into play. Gitu Lava Runner. It's a wizard, so it's nice for this deck. But you really want to get multiple instants and sorceries into the graveyard. You could use like Faithless Looting and stuff. I decided that Faithless Looting wasn't where I wanted to go. It's certainly reasonable, because then you can play with Fiery Temper instead of Pillar of Flame and Shock. But given that I don't have a lot of other Madness payoffs, I went with these So the 1 mana, even though it deals 1 less damage, getting it into the graveyard faster is more ideal. You're still playing a couple of the 2 damage or 2 mana 3 damage and 2 mana 4 damage spells, but not too many to back up the game plan. So those were all the different varieties of Rakdos. Hopefully you recognize that, you know, there is a ton of overlap, but they do open up some kind of unique strategies on their own, makes the decks play slightly different. So hopefully you're enjoying going through all the different color combinations, and hopefully you enjoy playing out the games in Midweek Magic, hopefully with this greater appreciation of all the different viable color combinations. See ya.